Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is SandraV and today I am responding to comments on an Instagram reel that I posted, basically stating that I was at a birthday party for one of my kids' friends in their preschool class and the parent dropped off the child and left, and these kids were all turning 5, and to me, even older kids, like that's not something I had ever heard of. I know for obviously preteen into teenager years, yeah, your parents aren't there, but I'm talking about the littles, okay? Like to me, it's like if I'm invited, or if they're invited, I'm invited, and that's how I run my birthday parties. If I invite a child from my kid's school or daycare or whatever, I expect their family to show up. Mom, dad, if that's their family dynamic, and siblings. That's just how I've always known parties to go, and I was confused. So I wanted to ask about it. The comment section was very colorful. I learned that this is very common for certain people, and we'll get into that a little bit later, but some of the comments did make me understand that maybe some of it is, where that person grew up or what their culture is, not necessarily an age thing. And I'll get back to that later, because I kind of thought at one point maybe it was something had changed since I had birthday parties as a kid. But anyways, stay to the end, because this one person, their comments were just like out of this world, just strange. And I can't wait to talk about that. So let's get started. The first topic of concern was what happens if there's an emergency? Now, obviously, in most cases, you would hope or expect the parent to leave their contact information, but that's not always the case. And it is hard, especially for a child who might be on the younger side, to have something happen at a party where they know nobody except for the child that they're in class with, and their parents aren't there to support them in whatever happens. So let's read a couple of those comments. So the first one is from Tammy J. Strong. I am with you. Last year was the first time a parent just dropped their kid off at my son's B-Day, and guess what? He got sick and I had no way of contacting his parents. So I had to sit with the sick kid and miss out on the party. I actually, after reading this, remembered that I did go to a birthday party where a child was dropped off. And I think the kids are at this party, I want to say around age 5 or 6. And the child had been dropped off. Mom did not leave contact information, did not inform them that this child is allergic to dogs. The party was at the grandparents of the child, and this kid was having an allergic reaction. He was puffy and red and itchy, and everybody's trying to figure out what's wrong with him. And he's like, I'm allergic to dogs. Mom didn't say that. She didn't leave any instructions, no contact information, and the party's coming to an end and she's still not there. And that's another thing I noticed from the other child who was dropped off. It seems like parties are 2 hours? So what are you going to do and come back in 2 hours, right? So it seems like the child ends up being one of the last kids there. The next comment is from Nemo Sicho. I'm going to butcher these names. Someone did this at a kindergarten party at a gymnasium. The boy peed his pants and the parents weren't there. How embarrassing. How sad for that child. The party that I went to that prompted the idea for this video, the child was dropped off at one of those play areas, that has the trampolines and the ball pits and all this. And this little boy was running around like he had no one to answer to, and the teenagers that run these places are trying to find his parents and figure out what to do with this kid, because literally everything that it said not to do, this kid was doing. And I'm like, sorry, his parents aren't here, I'm not responsible for him, the party's over there, go talk to the mom, I don't know what to tell you. So that definitely is concerning, especially when you're going to these big open areas where the host is supposed to keep track of all of these kids. Seems overwhelming. Which brings me to the next set of comments. Sly Lisa said, shame on parents of young children who leave. Not a babysitter. Sorry, not sorry. And then Stacy Yvonne said, I will not abandon a fellow mama with my twin boys. LOL, I wouldn't do it. Snaps, because I agree. Twin boy mom, and they're a lot for me. And even though they do tend to be a little bit more well behaved around other people or for other people, they're just a lot, you know? So I can't imagine them around a bunch of other 5-year-olds. But to the first comments point, I had to wait for my dog to stop barking. Hopefully she doesn't start up again, Luna. So to the first comment, I don't think that most of the people who are dropping their kids off at these events consider it free babysitting. I don't think that's their intention. I think that might be a benefit that comes along with it. Like, oh, cool, you know, like I'll go next door to a store for a couple hours or whatever. It's definitely a benefit. But from what I got from the comments of people who this is a normal custom for them, they didn't seem like they were looking for a free babysitter. It's just how they think kid parties are ran, I guess. I got a lot of comments that were kind of like, shame on the parents, you know, irresponsible parents. I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's like the core of the problem here. So this one is long, from my friend Not So Lone Wolf. I'm not going to read it word for word, but she says, most parents I know work, have multiple kids, are running around on their weekend trying to get things done. I would not ever think that they should dedicate multiple hours of their free time sitting around a kid's party. I get that. I am a working mom of 3. I have errands to run, and I somehow figure it out. You know, most of my weekend I dedicate towards spending time with my kids anyways. So dropping them off at a party and not being there to experience that with them, it takes away my time with them as a working mom. I guess I see what she's saying, but at the same time, I make it work. And again, I'm losing time with my kids because I only see them a couple hours during the week before they fall asleep, you know, when I pick them up from daycare. So I personally don't vibe with that because she is talking about me, you know, my situation, multiple kids, have errands to run, I have a job. So I don't really think that's much of a hurdle in this situation. But that's just me. She also said that if you're hosting a kids party, the expectation is that the kids get dropped off. And it would be weird to expect parents to randomly sit around awkwardly the entire time. My question is, whose expectation? You see, we're all speaking from a bias of our own upbringing and our own customs, because to me, that is not the expectation. So for you to say that, you're saying like what you expect is the expectation of like the world, and I am the one lonely person who is wrong and who doesn't set that as the expectation. So I think it's just important to have an open mind that everybody has a different understanding of what that expectation might be. Which brings me to the next set of comments. These ones I found kind of sad, to be honest. The way that people talk about interacting with the parents or the families of the kids that their kids call their friends and they go to school with. Everybody has a different personality. That's all I have to say. But I can't understand this concept. So let me read you a few. We'll talk about it. Love to bugs. I don't like hanging out at parties where I don't know people. It's amazing for the kids to be at a party without their parents helicoptering them. How don't you put it on the invitation? I did, and I'll talk at the end about how that went for my kids' party. How do you get to know people is my question. Like, how do you get to know them if you don't like to be around people you don't know? Because that's just how you meet new people. I don't know, it's so awkward to me. And mind you, I don't think existing in the same area as your child is helicoptering. That word's hard for me. I think that would be me like following them around place to place, being like, don't do this, don't do that, oh, be careful there. I don't do that. Like I just exist there, you know what I mean? And sometimes, is it awkward? I don't know, maybe I'm just not that awkward, but I'm okay just sitting in the corner, like looking at my phone, checking on my kids every once in a while, watching them enjoy the party with their friends. Sayo Demars, maybe I should stop trying to read these names. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I want to stay and meet and talk with other moms. We changed neighborhoods 2 years ago, but I feel like the moms already have their group of friends and don't need me as a friend, so I leave. You could assume that, but I welcome new friends all the time. You know, I think a lot of people do already have their friend groups, and going and socializing isn't necessarily trying to be their best friend, but more or less getting to know the parents of the kids that your kids go to school with. Like, it's okay to socialize with people and not expect to become their best friends. But if you are looking for a friend group, maybe you will vibe so much with them that they'll bring you into their friend group. And now, you've lived in this neighborhood 2 years and you don't really have any close friends. That's how you make friends. You get to know new people. And I don't care what your age is, you can always make new friends, right? I have lived in literally the same neighborhood my whole life. I rent the house across the street from my mom's house where I grew up, and I've never left. And I have friends that I met well into my late 20s and early 30s. So you can always make new friends. Even people who are established in that neighborhood might not still have those friends that they met in elementary school. I unfortunately don't have many of those left. A silent mother who is not so silent. Gen X mom here of kids who are now teens before kindergarten, parents stay, kindergarten, and later drop off. I don't want random parents hanging around. The party is for the kids, and please do not bring uninvited siblings. Also, all birthday parties are at home with a limited number of kids. None of this invite the whole class stuff. Friends get invited, that's it. That I agree with. I do not like the concept of just inviting the whole class. I think it is more alienating than not just inviting the people your kids want, because then they're going to act weird towards these kids and the parents might feel obligated to go. I don't agree with inviting the whole class. I totally agree with that. The random parents hanging around, that one still gets me. Like, why do you hate people you don't know? And why do you not want to know the people who your kids call friends? Why don't you want to know their parents? And I have gotten a lot of this whole don't bring uninvited siblings, which again, I wasn't aware of. So I did, when I started getting invites to parties for my kids, I will text them to RSVP and say, do you mind if my daughter comes along, if it's for the boys? If it's for my boys, they're twins, so they get invited to the same parties right now because they're in the same daycare class. And I say, do you mind, she has twin brothers, is it okay if they come along? So I do ask, and I haven't gotten any pushback on it, thankfully, because as, a single mom, I don't have childcare. So my kids either miss out on the party I guess they say just drop them off, but I won't do that right now. It's just, I think they're too young for that. So either my kid misses out on the party, or every time there's a party, I have to arrange childcare for the kids that aren't invited. Like, that's hard. Oh, the silent mother again. I guess I must have said something, because she says, yes, I am an introvert. I don't want to make small talk. I'm quite happy to stop my kids off and leave. Again, I don't think you necessarily have to make a ton of small talk. I have been to plenty of kids' parties where I kind of just hang out by myself and, watch the party happen. I'm not sitting there. The parent who's hosting the party is usually quite busy. We might have an exchange here or there, but a lot of times it is just me hanging out. I'm not really bothering the parent. Vicky Cable 89, LMAO. I am the opposite. Please just drop your kids off. I don't want to socialize with people I don't know. How do you know people? How do you get to know people? There are no people that you just know in your life that you didn't have to take the time to get to know, that weren't at some point a strange random person. Can you see that this point really freaks me out? Dana Bobania. I don't know. I'm the latter. I prefer drop and go. I don't like most other parents, and I don't like hearing all the crap that comes with hanging with other mums. She must be from a non-American country, because mum. I worked at the school for 12 years. They all trusted me enough 8 to 3 on school days. I'm sure 2 hours on the weekend is fine. And I don't know why she put mums, but anyways, I don't like most other parents. That is sad. Why do you hate people? I guess there are just some people who don't get along with a lot of people, but why don't you like them? I understand not wanting to socialize a lot, but you automatically just don't like them. That's kind of mean. And I don't know what crap comes along with hanging out with them. I don't know. Maybe you're around some not so great people. They all trusted me 8 to 3. Okay, yes, I leave my children at school unattended. However, from my knowledge, all the people that work there have been background tested. They're in a controlled environment. Schools nowadays are fenced in, at least in my area. There's policies and procedures for kids coming and going so that nobody gets lost. You know, there's people overseeing those people. So there's principals and other administrators who are also there to assist. It's a lot different in a school environment than dropping your child off at Chuck E. Cheese with a bunch of strangers. That's just how I perceive it. This is funny. So Mila Alexandria is more my style. I hate it when people say stuff like, I don't want to socialize with anyone. Well, guess what, Karen? I don't want to socialize with you either. I am there to watch my child, assure the safety and well-being of my child, and see that she's not having fun. I will leave with my baby ASAP, but in the meantime, I'll be sitting there on my phone, not even looking at you, but I will be there. If you can't put up with my existence, then my child is not coming. Either easy. Sorry, not a lot of punctuation. My child is not coming either. Easy fix. Bye. Let me tell you, people, you leave your kids in a stranger's house unattended. That's how kids get M-word, which, you know, we all know statistically that tends to happen more from people who your kids know and trust. But it is true. You don't know what, you know, you just, your child's in a very vulnerable place if they're just around a bunch of strangers and they're not comfortable really using their voice because it's strangers. They don't know these people. I don't know. My kids would be freaked out, I think, if I was like, stay at this random house with these people you don't know. K1989. I purposely only invited the kids, and it was always the kids would all meet at laser tag or the movies from this time until this time. Kids all got party bags and got picked up. Why would I want to sit and host for all these adult strangers too while trying to keep these kids happy? I get this vibe, and there's comments that make it more obvious that people think that the parents need some kind of hosting or entertainment or to be coddled in some way, but it's just not necessary. Like, we're just there with our kids. Like, we're not expecting anything from you. At least I'm not. And taking a bunch of kids that I don't know to somewhere like the movies sounds horrible. All right. I think I'm at the end of that one. Yep. What do we got next? This brings me to a similar topic. Dana loves DD. Please advise that a parent needs to stay with their child. Maybe there's a wine table with some non-alcohol stuff too for the parents. It takes a little more work to get the parents to stay. Wine and sparkling cider, cheese and crackers at a separate table. Hope you can make this work for you. Thank you, I did. And then somebody says, I really hate when people have a children's party and there's alcohol there. Like, why? It's for the kids. You can literally have anything else. Fatima Juju, you're a little bit of a party pooper because I definitely have booze at my kids' birthday parties. Sorry. But this is what I was talking about. Like, there needs to be some kind of incentive for a parent to stay, apparently, other than the fact that your little humans are there. I guess some people need that extra push. I don't know. Jennifer Henrich, write in the invitation, David and mom are invited too. Remember to have mom food as well. Jennifer, what is mom food? Because I eat pizza. I eat chicken nuggets. I don't know. At my party, we had fried chicken, baked chicken, salad, potato salad, rice and beans. It's, to me, like party food. If you have a big sub, kids and adults eat that, like pizza. I don't know. I didn't know that there was like adult specific food. Maybe I'm wrong in that. So this I found interesting. This I found very interesting. We had a lot of different comments about whether this is generational or cultural or regional, and it does seem to kind of have a little bit of a cultural aspect. You know, I am Hispanic, and our parties are very big and open, and literally like it. I mean, if you have a friend over and you bring your friend to my party, cool. Like, what's your name? Have a seat, grab some food, you know. It's just a very different vibe at Hispanic families. Our parents also do tend to be a little bit more, I don't want to say protective. I don't want to say that other cultures aren't protective, but My mom was a rarity when it came to like letting me go to sleepovers and stuff when I got older, because a lot of Hispanic parents won't do that. So let's see what some comments had to say about that. Miss CNDNC1 realize that children have survived without parental supervision for generations. They'll be fine now. If you're a safe person and you know you won't cause any harm, then drop your kid off to play. Let the kids play and be kids. By God, everything is not that deep. We survived. So will your kids. Who are we? Because I just said I was not dropped off and left. My mom was like, what are you talking about? Drop off party. Like, that's when you're a teenager, not when you're 5. So that's just back to that bias. You know, she's like, we survived. You survived that. I didn't survive that. It's just not my experience. So stop trying to make it your experience, everybody's experience. Sister 1980. I guess I'm old because that is how we did it in the 80s and 90s. Hi, I was born in 1987. My brother was born in 1985. I grew up in the 90s. And again, my mom had not heard of this drop-off phenomenon. So no, it's not an age thing. I made the mistake of saying that too. Back in my day, you know, everybody got together for a big party. It's not an age thing, because I thought it was my generation. Apparently it's not, because this is my generation. So it's not a generational thing. I think it really is cultural and kind of where you grew up. Anissa Malika, I hope you told them not to bring that European nonsense into your ethnic household, because I never heard of such foolishness. She went there. This girl went there, and I like it. It's true. Like, I found, based on the comments, that it is a very American standard. Though I grew up in America and so did my parents, I have that Mexican background, so I think that's maybe where some of it comes from. This is my sweet cousin, who happens to have both ends of the coin because her dad is my cousin, so that side of her family is Mexican, and then her mom is white. And she said this is something that is very, very common with my white side of the family and not so much with my Hispanic. I totally think it's a cultural thing. Hispanics want everyone and their mom to celebrate, LOL, although I don't think either way is wrong or right. I agree. Just personal preference. I feel like an easy fix is just noting on the invitation, which I eventually did that. Point proven. She comes from both backgrounds, and nothing is right or wrong, but I don't think I'm wrong to say that I don't want children dropped off in my care, and I don't think I'm wrong to say I don't want to drop my children off. But I was very much made to feel that way based on a lot of the comments. I'm Yobana. If you can do this as a mom, good for you. What works for your family works for your family. But for me, I can't. If my kid is invited, I'm invited. I'm a trauma therapist, and stories I've heard, no thanks. Point proven. You just gotta watch over your own kids to, you know, nobody does it better than mom, right? Right, SC 2003, no shade, but I've only seen this with non-minorities. My daughter is 8 and I would never do that. We moved to Boston, and at 5 she got invited to a girl's birthday party at their home, and the mom told me I could come back in 2 hours. The look I must have had probably scared her. Needless to say, I was the only parent to stay. It's a cultural thing. When I was growing up in the 80s and 90s, it was expected that the kids' parties were drop-off parties. Nobody ever had a bunch of parents hanging out. That is not true, because I did. It was kids only. The end. Also, when my kid is born, I don't want a bunch of parents hanging out for the birthday parties. If they're 5 or older, they're just babies. Okay, that reaches the end of that. So I think we can all agree that it is very much cultural, not really generational. I do feel like when I kind of dug a little bit deeper, I found that I'm in Arizona, and it was a lot more common on like the East Coast. I don't know, that might just, I know my friend who's from California said that it was drop-offs for her too. So I don't know if that has much to do with it. I'm really saving the best one for last, guys. I'm not kidding, but these ones bothered me. Keep it simple, NV. So don't have birthday parties. Saying watching others' kids gives you anxiety is so common to just explain that she doesn't like moms that do that. Let's stop using anxiety for everything. SMH. Keep it simple, envy. Some of us truly have anxiety. Like I have a diagnosed anxiety disorder that I take. Oh, look, it happens to be right here. I take these lovely pills every night before bed to try to reduce it. So yes, it is literally anxiety that I am feeling when I think about a group of children being in my care, especially in a public place. It's not an excuse. Yeah, people really have anxiety. You should look it up. And I don't dislike moms that do that. I don't. I have a better understanding now that that is somewhat common. I think like the comments are split like half and half on that. Tegan and Drita, then don't host parties. Okay, Tegan and Drita. 11 Felicity, maybe don't do parties if you can't look after the kids. I've done like 1 million parties. That's impressive. 1 million parties. And everyone after like grade 1 leave their kids. Some may choose to stay, but most don't. I get my sister to help, and one mom and I'm good friends with just have a small party if it's too much. I think it's actually harder having all parents to entertain too. Good luck. It gets easier each time. I feel like that started out kind of mean, and then she was like, good luck. Karma K7 says, maybe you're inviting too many kids. No, I don't care if it's just a handful. Just because I don't party the way that you party doesn't mean I don't get to party at all. As you can see by the comment section of that video, people were very split. So it's not like I'm the only person on the planet that's like this and you're like, well, don't have a party because you don't do it like every other person on the planet. It is very much common for people to not even know that this is a thing. So yeah, my kids still deserve a birthday party, even if I don't do it the way that you think I should. And your kids deserve a birthday party, even if you're doing it different from me. All right, buckle up. We're to the helicopter part, and this is the best, the finale. So get ready. Jen Lage. I don't know. It's good to have independent childhood party experiences if your child is comfortable and able to behave properly. If not, you can go too, but as a former teacher, they should be able to do this after 6 years of age. I don't know, man. My daughter had some bad experiences with some mean kids in kindergarten, and they're 5 and 6, so I don't know if that's true. It's odd to me that all these parents want to go to a kids' party to make sure their child is safe or well behaved, but school is really preparing them for these types of experiences. You shouldn't have to be worried about your child's behavior without their parents around. After kindergarten, they should know. Then why do we have any behavioral problems in school? Ever, if kids should just know how to behave. Sad, ask all parents dropping off for their cell numbers. Obviously, if you're hosting the party, it's your job to keep everyone happy and safe. That's the problem. That is the problem. I don't want to do that. I don't want that to be my job. This sounds like helicopter parenting. If your child is over 6 and you're not friends with the family inviting your child, also you're imposing on the host if you bring siblings, How do you become friends with people? One of my daughter's only school friends who I know the family, it's because I went to her birthday party and I got to know her family. I got to know her mom, I got to know her dad, her grandma, her aunt, and they're very lovely people. We recently went to a birthday party for her dad. It was a lovely party. It was fun, and we wouldn't have got that experience if I didn't go to the child's party and meet the family. I could go on forever about this. This is my favorite, okay? Cherry Von Top. She likes me. I have 3 kids too. You might not have as much trouble because 2 of your kids are the same age. But when you have a lot of kids like we do, you get invited to a lot of birthday parties. Also, birthday parties always happen on Saturday and Sunday, which is prime sports game time for most kids. Being at your kid's party to sit in a corner and awkwardly make conversation with other parents means missing my other kid's soccer game or my other kid missing someone else's birthday party. If I'm the one throwing the party, I certainly don't want to have to entertain all these crusty, overprotective moms who won't get out of my house. She sounds so pleasant. It gets better. Oh, you're staying? Okay. I guess, make yourself comfortable. It's extremely awkward and the struggle is real. Besides children, I have nothing in common with normal moms. I've been a mom for 16 and a half years and I have made friends with maybe one of my kids' friends' moms. I'm working showgirl and model, and I look like one. Congratulations. Normal moms do not know what to make of me. They think I'm the babysitter, sister, or the stepmom. It's awkward. A lot of people judge a book by its cover. That I'm not a good mom, or that I had my kids young because of my beauty. Yeah, told you it was good. All my kids get good grades. Not one of them is obese. She had to throw that in because I'm obviously obese. And they each excel in their after-school activities. My kids are teens now. I've been a parent much longer than you have. And you know what? There are people who have been a parent much longer than you. Cherry on top. You have a long way to go before you see what the full spectrum of what all motherhood entails. I have seen these children of helicopter parents mature into followers. They will follow the crowd wherever it goes. They never learned how to advocate and represent themselves because mommy always did it for them. It's unfortunate. My social life is actually quite robust. I have no problem engaging with interesting, cultured people. Apparently, if you are a mom, you cannot be that. My social circle consists of fellow artists, ballerinas, authors, and other models. People with interesting lives and ideas who engage in stimulating conversation. I have nothing in common with the typical overweight, average, dumpy mom. Once we talk about the weather and our kids, there's nothing left to talk about. Average women are typically intimidated by me and like to talk shit. We talk shit about you because you're a... Sorry, let me continue. It's not an assumption, it's a fact that I've been filled in by single dads whose acquaintances I've made. I'm sure you've friended up with a bunch of single dads. Cherry on top. And I'm sure in high school, you were the girl that only hung out with guys because girls are too much drama. One day when your kid's a teen, you will have to let them out of your sight. Clearly. This is when your kids will struggle. And I've seen it time and time again. She's so concerned about my kids, so sweet. With my kids' friends who come from helicopter families, you will find them vaping or shoplifting because they've never had to practice making good decisions on their own without a parent looking over their shoulder, pressuring them to do the right thing. Children can only practice good decision making on their own if they're making decisions because mom is watching. They're not actually learning to navigate life. Trust kids out in the world without letting them practice and develop those skills is bad parenting. You'll remember this when the police call to tell you they have your teen and you need to come pick them up at juvie. Kids brought up this way follow right behind the crowd because they haven't had enough practice making the right decisions for the right reasons. When it happens, you'll have only yourself to blame. This woman is horrible. Talk about what we should show our kids. You're telling your kids that people who are overweight and common are basically dumb and boring and not worth your time. Like, what a horrible human you are. Judgmental. I have friends of all different backgrounds. I have friends who don't have kids. I have friends who have master's degree. I have friends who have their doctorates and their PhDs. I have friends who have a high school diploma and have spent their entire adult life being a mom, a stay-at-home mom, and a wife. I have friends of all different walks of life, and we find things in common and we enjoy each other. And I think you are the one who has a really flat and ugly personality, and that's why you don't get along with other people, because you're judgmental and you're hateful and you're rude. And my kids are going to learn to grow up and value humans for who they are, and not because they're overweight or because they might not have the same job or income as them or status or whatever the hell else you were talking about in all those rambles. You are a shit person and it's gross. So if the worst thing I teach my kids is to have a diverse set of friends and to be able to accept people around them for who they are and not some kind of a stereotype, then I win parenting. Anyway, so my party, I did put on the invitation that kids must be accompanied by an adult. Only one of my daughter's friends came. It's the one who I knew her family. I don't know if it was associated with having to attend the party. I can't really say. But we had a good turnout as far as the daycare kids came. and we had a good time. It was busy, you know. I had my family there. I had some of my friends who don't have kids came to the crusty mom party and enjoyed it. They had food, they had some beers, we had a good time. My kids had a blast, and I will definitely, next time, I think the different thing, because I put all kids must be accompanied by a parent. I think this time what I'll put for their birthday party is not a drop-off event. The whole family is welcome. I want to meet you all. I want to enjoy time with you. Come celebrate my kids with me. I take it as almost like a compliment and an honor when somebody wants me to go to celebrate a loved one's birthday or milestone in life. I enjoy seeing the joy on my kids' face when they're playing with their friends, when they're hitting the piñata, when they're watching their friends open presents, singing happy birthday. Like, I enjoy seeing my kids enjoy that. Call me crazy, but that's what it is. I want to know what everybody thinks. This was kind of a lengthy video for me, but it was a lot of comments to get through, and I hope you enjoyed it. Leave your opinions down in the comment. Leave a message for Cherry Von Top. Tell me if you agree with her. Tell me if I'm a crusty fat mom who has nothing interesting to say and am not cultured at all because I'm not a ballerina. Oh my god. Alright guys, I hope you liked this video. Give it a thumbs up, subscribe, come back, because together is a beautiful place to be.